We'll now call the business session of February 18, 2025 to order at 6:03 p.m. All council members are present tonight. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first item of business tonight is to consider the minutes of the February 4th, 2025 regular session city council meetings. These minutes were provided in your meeting packet. Did you guys have any corrections on the minutes? There are no corrections. The minutes will stand approved as submitted. The next item to consider is public hearing 2025-120, and Manager Wagstaff, I think you're going to be presenting tonight. Public hearing 2025-120.
Honorable Mayor and members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider a resolution granting a special permit to Vision Development and Construction, LLC, for an auto body shop in an M2 district on property known as 318 Depot Drive and described as Lot 36, Block D of the Crow Scales Edition. By a vote of 7-0, the Plan Commission recommended approval of this request based on the following findings. Number one, that the proposed use is consistent with the comprehensive plan and the purposes and intent of Chapter 28 zoning of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Waco. Two, that the proposed use is compatible with the appropriate and orderly development of the area in which it is located. Three, that the proposed use would not be more objectionable to neighboring properties because of traffic congestion, noise, fumes, vibrations, or any other characteristics characteristics than any use permitted in the zoning district without a grant of a special exception. And number four, that available community facilities and services, including the road system, providing access to the proposed use, are adequate for the proposed use. The Plan Commission recommendation also included the special provisions and conditions outlined in Exhibit C of the resolution. Planning Services mailed out 22 notices. One comment was returned after the public hearing.
Are there any questions for staff? Is there anyone present who'd like to speak on this item? Anyone on this particular public hearing? Appears there's not, so we'll close the public hearing. Do I hear a motion?
I move for approval, Mayor.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? City Secretary Parker, please poll the council.
Bearfield?
Yes.
Rodriguez? Aye. Borderood?
Yes.
Ewing?
Yes.
Chase?
Yes.
Holmes?
Aye, that motion passes. Next item to consider is public hearing 2025-121. Manager Wagstaff.
Honorable Mayor and members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider a resolution approving the final plan unit development plan for the 4th Street PUD on approximately 1.03 acres, described as Lot 2, Block 1, James R. Kersey Edition, known as 3212 South 4th Street. By a vote of 8-0, the Commission recommended approval of the final PUD plan based on the following findings and conditions. Finding number one, the final PUD plan is consistent with the approved concept PUD plan, conditions of the approved concept PUD plan, and the requirements of the PUD ordinance. And number two, the circulation plan, public facilities and services plan, preliminary architectural plan, and site development and landscaping plan included in the final PUD plan are adequate. We do have two conditions. Number one, at time of development, full building plans must be submitted meeting all City of Waco development requirements, including but not limited to the following: applicable building codes, college and university district overlay standards, site grading and drainage, parking, signage, vehicle pedestrian access and circulation, landscaping, refuse location and access, and fire protection location and access. Building permits will not be issued until full compliance with all development standards of the City of Waco and the approved PUD plans. Number two, the property must be platted, meeting requirements of the PUD and subdivision ordinances before the issuance of building permits. Planning Services mailed 39 notices and 0 were returned.
Thank you, Laura. Any questions for staff? Now open a public hearing for comments. Is anyone present who'd like to speak regarding this public hearing application? Seeing no speakers, we'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? City Secretary Parker, please poll the council.
Bearfield? Yes. Rodriguez? Aye. Boderude?
Yes.
Ewing?
Yes.
Chase?
Yes.
Holmes?
Aye, that motion passes. Next item to consider is public hearing 2025-122. Manager Wagstaff.
Honorable Mayor and members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, providing that the comprehensive plan be amended to change the land use designation from mixed-use flex to medium-density residential office flex on one approximately 0.57 acres described as lots 8 through 10, Block 24, Farwell Heights Edition, known as 1925, 1923, and 1917 Summer Avenue, property ID 172667, 172668, and 172669, and two, approximately 0.76 acres described as lots 11 through 14, Block 24, Farwell Heights Edition, known as 1915 and 1911 Summer Avenue, property ID 172670 and 172671, TBD Summer Avenue, property ID 337357, and 3000 North 19th Street, property ID 172672. Providing that the Code of Ordinances be amended by revising Section 28-247 and Chapter 28 zoning of the Code, providing that the zoning map shall be changed so that the properties described as 2 above shall be changed from C3 to R2 district classification, providing for penalties, providing a savings clause, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 8-0, the Commission recommended approval of the request to change the land use plan from mixed-use flex to medium-density residential office flex based on the following findings. Number one, the existing public infrastructure is sufficient to support the zoning districts permitted under the proposed medium-density residential office flex land use designation. And two, medium-density residential office flex land use is present in the surrounding area, indicating compatibility with existing land uses. And approval of the request to change the zoning from RC3 to R2 based on the following findings. One, the proposed zoning aligns with the land use component of the comprehensive plan as revised. Number two, the properties meet the area and width requirements for the R2 zoning district. Three, the existing public infrastructure is adequate to accommodate the uses permitted in the R2 zoning district. Four, the proposed rezoning supports the goals of the Waco Strategic Housing Plan by increasing the supply of residentially zoned properties, thus enhancing opportunities for new housing development. And number five, R2 zoning is present in the vicinity of the subject properties, indicating consistency with the surrounding area. Planning Services mailed out 40 notices and 0 were returned.
Thank you, Laura. Are there any questions for staff on this item? I'll now open a public hearing for comments. Is anyone present who'd like to speak on this item? Seeing no speakers, we'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Move for approval. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this item? City Secretary Parker, will you please poll the council?
Bearfield? Yes. Rodriguez? Aye. Boderude?
Yes.
Ewing?
Yes.
Chase?
Yes.
Holmes?
Aye, that motion passes. The next item to consider is public hearing 2025-123. Manager Wagstaff.
Honorable Mayor, members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, abandoning 3 tracts located in Farm Lot 1 of the unrecorded map of Waco and vicinity by W.A. Taylor and D. Beal of 1869, being generally located between Washington Avenue and Columbus Avenue, and between North 5th Street and North 6th Street in the City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, as follows. 1, the abandonment of a 20-foot wide alley tract approximately 0.151 acres. 2, abandonment of a 15-foot wide alley abandonment tract approximately 0.057 acres, being all of a called 15-foot wide alley described in the deed to McLennan County, Texas, recorded in volume 1222, page 86 of the deed records of McLennan County, Texas. And 3, the abandonment of a Columbus Avenue right-of-way abandonment tract approximately 0.005 acres and being out of a called 0.2108 acre right-of-way tract described and vested in the City of Waco in cause number 35329, recorded in volume 1140, page 136 of the deed records of McLennan County, Texas. Adopting findings and conditions from the Waco Plan Commission for this abandonment, finding no duty to maintain, authorizing the city manager to execute quitclaim deeds, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By a vote of 0 to 7, the commission recommended approval of the abandonment request based on the following findings and conditions. Number 1, the public use of these tracks is not required for the proper flow of traffic or for emergency vehicle access to the area. 2, the abandonment of these tracks will not negatively impact utility access for surrounding properties. And 3, the abandonment of these 3 tracks will support the renovation of the McLennan County Courthouse and annex to better serve the public and McLennan County employees. And then there are 5 conditions upon this abandonment. Number 1, upon the abandonment of the alley and completion of the rerouting of the public sewer line, the existing sewer line within the abandoned 20-foot alley will be transferred to county ownership. Consequently, the City of Waco will no longer be responsible for the repair or maintenance of the sewer line, nor will it incur any associated costs. Number 2, a general utility easement will be retained for the area of the abandoned 20-foot alley right-of-way. Number 3, removable bollards will be installed on both ends of the 20-foot alley for fire department access to fire connections. Number 4, after the abandonment, the tracks must be platted with the adjoining lots. At the time of platting, additional right-of-way shall be provided to accommodate required sidewalk construction as determined during the platting process. And 5, easements shall be retained for any utility lines located during development of the abandonment area, or lines can be relocated at the developer's expense. Developer shall coordinate with the appropriate utilities. And just for the benefit of clarification, the city does recommend abandoning any rights for right-of-way within the 15-foot wide alley listed in Part 2 of the request, even though it is currently shown in a deed to McLennan County. This is in order to clean up old maps and allow the county to replat these parcels.
Thanks, Laura. Are there any questions for staff? This is the alleyway in the land around the courthouse, so I think this helps the county get their improvements built in the back, and I think it'll be conducive to improving downtown, too. I will now open a public hearing for comments. Is anyone present who'd like to speak on this item? Seeing no speakers, we'll close the public hearing. Do I hear a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? City Secretary Parker, please poll the council.
Bearfield.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Borderood.
Yes.
Ewing.
Yes.
Chase.
Yes.
Holmes.
Aye, that motion passes. The next item to consider is public hearing 2025-124, Manager Wagstaff.
Honorable Mayor and members of the council, this is a public hearing to consider an ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, abandoning an approximate 0.0256 acre tract of land in the City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, being a portion of the 15-foot wide alley of Block 10 of the Paul Quinn addition to the City of Waco, McLennan County, Texas, as per plat recorded in Volume 167, page 459 of the deed records of McLennan County, Texas, and it is adjacent to 1210 Kellum Street. Adopting findings and conditions from the Waco Plan Commission for this abandonment, finding no duty to maintain, authorizing the city manager to execute quitclaim deeds, providing a severability clause, and finding and determining that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. By vote of 8-0, the commission recommended approval of the abandonment request based on the following findings and condition. Finding number 1, public use of the right-of-way is not required for the proper flow of traffic or for emergency vehicle access to the area. 2, the utility access for surrounding properties is not adversely impacted by the abandonment of this right-of-way. And 3, there will be no adverse impact to the surrounding street system. And the one standard condition that was added is that easements shall be retained for any utility lines within the abandonment area, or lines can be relocated at the developer's expense and to coordinate with the appropriate utility.
Thank you, Laura. Any questions for staff on this one? I'll now open a public hearing for comments. Is anyone present who'd like to speak on this item? Seeing no speakers, we'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion on this item? City Secretary Parker, will you please poll the council?
Fairfield.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Borderood.
Yes.
Ewing.
Yes.
Chase.
Yes.
Holmes.
Aye, that motion passes. Thank you, Laura, for the presentations tonight. We'll now move to the resolutions. The following resolutions, we have two that were pulled from the consent agenda tonight. We'll be voting on these separately. Resolution 2025-154 has to do with the Marathon traffic management, and Josh has a conflict of interest on that one. There's another resolution, 2025-148, that has to do with transit management services. We may have a card on that. I'll call for that when we get there. I'm first going to deal with 154, the Marathon traffic management. Is there a motion on resolution 2025-154?
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on that resolution. Any discussion? I think we said this afternoon that Josh was conflicted because he won the last two marathons. Is that?
Something like that, yeah.
Something
And
like
you can't have say over the route by a street closure.
Agreed.
you know.
All right.
And I can't speak on that, neither to confirm nor deny.
Okay, got it. City Secretary Parker, will you please poll the council?
Bearfield.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Ewing.
Yes.
Chase.
Yes.
Holmes.
Aye, that motion passes. We'll move now to, excuse me, we'll now move to Resolution 2025-148, and we did get a card on this one from Raymond Suarez. Oh, good, there you are, Ms. Suarez. As you approach the podium, please state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Raymond Suarez, I'm a innovation and strategy leader for the Hendrickson Transportation Group. Actually, HTG is founded here and is headquartered here. We're building a new headquarters at 10207 North River Crossing. And we should break ground, or actually open in 2025. And I'm here to speak on this item. I want to thank the city manager and their staff for listening, following process, and listening to input during the procurement process. And I'm offering support from HTG for rejecting all offers on this proposal. And we look forward to a resolicitation in the near future. For those who have not heard of HTG, as I mentioned, we're founded here. We look at opportunities to partner very seriously because they don't happen that often. Typically once every 3, maybe 5 years. So it's important for us as a Texas-based company doing business across the nation for the city and council members and the city manager to know who we are and what we represent. Not too far down the road, I serve as the general manager for the Hill Country Transit District, where we've worked with the board, 5 cities, 9 counties, U.S. military base, to completely transform the way they do transit. That's really the fabric of what we're trying to do, is accomplish innovation, advancements in technology to make transit tie into the fabric of your community, to show value each and every day, and we want the opportunity to compete for your business. We were honored by being recognized by the Texas Transit Association in 2024 and as an innovation leader for all the work that we've accomplished just down the road, where we've improved, actually doubled ridership, improved virtually every metric, performance metric that's measured. We've significantly increased the values to our city partners, and we look forward to earning your business in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Suarez. Appreciate that. So we are now talking about Resolution 2025-148. Do I hear a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion for approval and a second. Any discussion? City Secretary Parker, will you please poll the council?
Bearfield.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Waterrood.
Yes.
Ewing.
Yes.
Chase.
Yes.
Holmes.
Aye, that motion passes. We'll now move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of Resolution 2025-125 through 2025-158, except for 2025-154 and 2025-148. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? City Secretary Parker, please poll the council.
Bearfield.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Borderood.
Yes.
Ewing.
Yes.
Chase.
Yes.
Holmes.
Aye, the consent agenda motion passes. The next item on the agenda is ordinance 2025-159, City Attorney Perdon.
An ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, designating J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. as the City of Waco depository for the period of May 1, 2025 through April 30, 2028, providing for an option to extend for a period not to exceed 2 years, but subject to special conditions, prescribing conditions concerning funds in such depository, awarding a contract for said depository bank services to J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, N.A., and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute any documents in connection therewith, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, finding and determining that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law, and declaring an emergency. This ordinance comes to council on emergency reading, which requires a favorable vote of 3/4 of all council members qualified and serving.
Is there a motion on this emergency reading?
Move for approval?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? City Secretary Parker, please poll the council.
Bearfield.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Borderood.
Yes.
Ewing.
Yes.
Chase.
Yes.
Holmes.
Aye, that motion passes. And we'll now have a second emergency reading on ordinance 2025-159.
An ordinance of the City of Waco, Texas, designated J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. as the City of Waco depository for the period of May 1, 2025 through April 30, 2028, providing for an option to extend for a period not to exceed 2 years, subject to special conditions, prescribing conditions concerning funds in such depository, awarding a contract for said depository bank services to J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, N.A., and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute any documents in connection therewith, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, finding and determining that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law, and declaring an emergency.
Is there a motion?
I would like to move for the second time on this ordinance for approval.
And I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second for approval. Any discussion? City Secretary, please poll the council.
Bearfield.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Borderood.
Yes.
Ewing.
Yes.
Chase.
Yes.
Holmes.
Aye, that motion passes. And the next item to consider is ordinance 2025-160, City Attorney Perdon.
An ordinance revising sections 26-231 and 26-239 of Division 6, reporting requirements of Article 6 Sanitary Sewer Use Regulations of Chapter 26 Utilities of the Waco Code of Ordinances to clarify language related to the submission of required reports for permitted industrial wastewater users, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for inclusion in the code, providing for penalties, providing a savings clause, providing a severability clause, providing for an effective date, and finding and determining that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed is open to the public as required by law. This ordinance comes to council on first reading.
Is there a motion?
Move for approval on first reading.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Any discussion? City Secretary Parker, will you please poll the council?
Bearfield.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Borderood.
Yes.
Ewing.
Yes.
Chase.
Yes.
Holmes.
Aye. That motion passes. The next item to consider is a hearing of visitors. During the hearing of visitors section of the agenda, we provide an opportunity for the public to present concerns or address issues that are not matters for consideration listed on the agenda. The council is unable to conduct a discussion, but will listen. We'll ask staff to look into concerns and provide follow-up. Please provide registration information so that staff can contact you if necessary. If you have handouts, please let us know at the beginning of your presentation, and staff will distribute those to the council. If you're unable to approach the podium due to physical limitations, a microphone is available to be brought to you. And we do have some cards here today. So I will say, when called to the podium, please state your name and address for the record. Each speaker must limit comments to 3 minutes. If you're speaking on behalf of a group of 10 or more individuals present, please have those persons stand at the beginning of your comments, and you'll be given 10 minutes to address the council. Please note that if you stand in support of a person getting those 10 minutes to speak, you are forfeiting your right to speak on that item. For any person addressing the council through use of a translator, the speaking time will be doubled to accommodate the translation services. While public discourse is very important to this council, we have to maintain order in the meeting so that all persons may be heard and city business may be conducted. If so directed by me, the Sergeant at Arms shall remove from the council meeting any person who, while addressing the city council or while attending the city council meeting, any person who makes personal or impertinent or slanderous remarks, any person who becomes boisterous, or any person who makes unauthorized remarks from the audience, claps their hands, stomps their feet, yells, whistles, or makes similar demonstrations. So we'll go to the cards here. Our first speaker is Ephraim Herring. Oh, there you are. Mr. Herring, as you approach the podium, please state your name and address, sir, and you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Ephraim Herring. I live at 1044 Chestnut. I'm here to talk about 1046 Chestnut, which has been denied access, legal access to it for 2,758 days. The reason why I came to council, and she's handing out the documentation there, I got a letter from your city manager saying that the building official signed a certificate of occupancy saying that it was done on July 24th. Only one problem with that. All the documentation in your file and everything I've looked at says there was no inspection done on July 24th. I gave y'all a copy of that document, and now I'm being denied. Since there was no inspection done, there's no way you could have a certificate of occupancy issued that is valid. So you put me in that catch-22. You tell me you can send me a document. They send me a document saying I can use the document, but the document is not valid because there was no inspection done. The problems on that document shows that the driveway, the reason why I know it's not invalid because I got told that I couldn't park my truck on the gravel, so I had to go in and put money in my pocket so I could just to park, not to live in, just to park. I had to put down pavement blocks, which cost me about $3,000, so I could just park my truck because I got so many of them. So all I'm saying now is, gentlemen, we're bordering on a violation of the penal code right now because it seems like I'm being retaliated against for bringing out and pointing out that that document that was used at that bank was not valid and it was issued by y'all city employee. And now I'm still denied access to the property that I'm paying taxes on for the last almost 8 years now. So now I'm asking someone to do the right thing. Number one, do a proper inspection, and number two is fix what they'll cause problem in, because they'll cause two problems. One, the electrical problem in the house, because you look in there, you'll see it's not done. Without final inspection, it was not done. Y'all have a blessed day, and I'm gonna get out your hair and stay warm.
Thank you, Mr. Herring. Appreciate you. The next card we have is from Mary Brown. Mary, are you here tonight? Mary Brown?
Good afternoon. My name is Mary Brown, and I thank the center that we have, which is known as the Sul Ross Center, for the many amenities that y'all have allowed us to have. It's not only a senior center, it is a center for people that come there to socialize. It's a bingo center. They make pottery there. We have, at one time, it was a cooling center for the homeless, for the people to come in during our horrible heats that we have. And most importantly, it is a dance club. I'm going to give you some positive sides of why I think it is a great place for the seniors to have, to go to socialize, to dance. We have a great board of dedicated directors, and these directors are very diligent about what they do and how they handle the business for the Waco Council. They followed the rules, and I'm very proud to say that it is a smoke-free and alcohol-free center. These volunteers are not city employees, but they do many things to help our center and help the seniors. They're very busy on booking the bands, and these bands are not your average bands. They're bands that are noted for all over the state of Texas. Some of them even have recording studios that they record records. They notify members of anything that needs to be brought up to date. They man the front desk and take care of the concessions. I'm proud to say that everybody that attends the Sul Ross loves that little center. It has many functions, and we certainly are distressed to hear that it could possibly fold. Like I said, we have Baylor students that attend. They love that center. I've talked to them, and they tell us that this is an amazing place that y'all have developed and have got it off and running, and it is rebounding after the COVID crisis that we have had. Also, I wish that we had had one of our best dignitaries to be able to come down and speak on behalf of Sul Ross, and that's Doc Anderson. He and his lovely wife love the center. They enjoy every moment that we have had with them to come and visit, and they pay nothing but the highest respect for the center, the way that it is run and held. And lastly, but not least, I would like to invite each and every one of y'all to come down and see what a well-manicured facility that Sul Ross is representing for the seniors of Waco. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Brown. I appreciate that. The next card is Sharon Bates. Sharon Bates. Sharon, as you approach the podium there, please state your name and address when you get here, then you'll have 3 minutes.
My name is Sharon Bates, and my address is P.O. Box 155401, Waco, Texas. And I would just like to also say that Mary Brown spoke mainly for all of us. We enjoy going to the dances down there. Seniors don't have a whole lot to do in Waco, Texas, period. And that is one place that everybody enjoys going. Everybody became friends down there. And in fact, when my husband passed away, I had 138 visitors at the visitation, and all of them have become friends of ours since we started going there about 20 years ago. And it's a wonderful place to go, and I encourage the board to please just renovate it, don't tear it down, and so we can have a place to go and enjoy ourselves.
Thank you, Ms. Bates. We heard a lot of good things about the Sul Ross Center today and the people that go there. Do we have anyone else present who'd like to speak? You're welcome. I know we had a lot of people talking about Sul Ross this afternoon, got some great feedback. Anybody else out there that would like to be part of the hearing of visitors tonight? Seeing no one, will now close the hearing of visitors, and we will go to council comments. Any council comments on items of community interest?
I'm just excited tomorrow. I'm going to spend my morning reading to the kids at Cedar Ridge Elementary. It's one of the elementary schools that's in my district. And, you know, they were, you have to ask about what we're reading. You know, it's going to be STEAM focused. So I'm excited about reading with the kids in the morning.
Good luck. Looks like fun. Anything else, guys?
A couple things. One, in keeping with the theme of exciting things happening in our districts, tomorrow I get a really cool opportunity to give a few remarks at a Habitat House in District 4 that I was able to go and spend a Saturday morning putting some framing up on about 6-7 months ago. And so I get to go for the grand opening of the home to the new owner tomorrow, which is a really cool process to have seen it when it was just a foundation, and now they're taking possession of the home, which is great. And then lastly, it's hard to believe it's been a year. I feel like I just made these comments yesterday, but this is the last meeting of February of Black History Month. Want to, as always, encourage those in the crowd and in the community to not only observe Black history, but continue to make it. We have plenty of bright and beautiful Black children in Waco, Texas, that I think have a real opportunity to grow and shape this community, and would encourage you to keep doing so.
Excellent, nice words. I also want to recognize you welcomed in a bunch of new citizens last week, which was kind of a cool ceremony.
Oh yeah, I didn't forget about it. I just I feel like I just talked to someone about it yesterday. But yeah, I'll just talk about that for just a second. We have a federal judge here in Waco, the Western District of Texas, and he I think tries semi-annually to put on naturalization ceremonies here, which is ceremonies to sort of ring in the new citizenship for people that have immigrated here. It's a very long and winding path. I think it takes at least like 6 years or 7 years, maybe between 4 and 7. I need to get my math right on that. From once you get in the door to start the process to completing it, there are questions on this test that are on the citizenship test that are very difficult to know the answers to, even as an American citizen. You have to know how many members of Congress there are, which off the top of my head, I think is 401 or 5. 435, yeah, 435. 400 something, right?
You would not make the, you would not.
I would not pass. I'm very glad I was born here, but that is why these ceremonies are so so important and so moving. We had over 200 folks that came to Waco, to the Hurt Center over at Baylor, to ring in their new citizenship here in America and in Texas, and representing over 60 countries. And they have to give up a lot to be here, and it's an honor to be in their presence. So yeah, thanks for coming out. That was a really fun experience.
Pretty special ceremony. Okay, Josh, you have anything tonight?
Mayor, I wanted to thank Patricia Wilson, who is our Associate Dean at the Law School. We were able to recognize her on the 20th anniversary of the People's Law School. The City of Waco has been a longtime sponsor. It's making the law accessible and user-friendly to the public. We put on seminars with local judges, lawyers, and professors, just educating the public about the law. And that was the brainchild of Dean Pat Wilson, and she was the director of that program for a long time. So it was an honor to be able to honor her on that day. So grateful for the mayor's proclamation to be able to bring to that group on Saturday.
Great. All right, the last item of business is council reports and requests for scheduling future agenda items. Are there any future agenda items that need to be scheduled? Seeing that there is none, there'll be no further business. We will now adjourn the work session at 6:41 p.m.